opioids and to self-medicate. And so, it's a problem that really we need to get our arms around so that we can come up with really better solutions to try and, reduce that harmful impact.
Well, Congressman Murphy, you are a doctor. Explain why the opioid epidemic is so devastating to the veteran community and what needs to happen in addition to this legislation.
Yeah, Kristen, this has been something that obviously affects veterans more than it does in the civilian population. The overdose rate really is twice as many. And, and we did a lot of great work a decade or so ago. I did a lot in the State House in trying to decrease the number of prescribing opioids by physicians. And there's been remarkable amounts that have been done with this, that we decrease the number of prescribed opioids. But what we have happening is because veterans oftentimes, because of chronic pain from traumatic injuries, et cetera, need to have some type of relief. And sadly enough, a lot of the unprescribed opioids, the ones on the market, the unsolicited, the fentanyls, all the other things, are leading to overdose deaths also. So looking to see why the VA is not addressing these, are they addressing these, really drilling down on why this component still is leading to the tragic number of overdose deaths in our veteran population. Bipartisan effort, but really wanting to make sure that our veterans are taken care of, and we can try to get to the root cause of really why this is happening.
Well, Congressman Courtney, I wonder what kinds of conversations you've had with your fellow lawmakers. Do you get the sense that there's enough support to get this out of the House?
I'm actually pretty optimistic. I mean, the space that we're talking about in terms of people who wear the uniform of this country and our veterans is a place where, by and large, is the most, the best opportunity, really, to sort of turn down the partisanship and move a bill forward. Again, Greg and I both represent districts with large military installations. His is huge. Mine has about 8,000 sailors up in Groton, Connecticut. And so, that's where, having that experience, it kind of transcends party identification and your caucuses. And there's a lot more of that, I think, in both bodies, the House and the Senate, that I think gives me hope that we can move this bill.
Well, Congressman Murphy, how optimistic are you? Do you think it can get done this year and get to the president's desk?
I don't know about this year, Kristen. We got a lot to worry about or to work on this year. But, as Joe pointed out, we have a lot of veterans actually now that serve in Congress, probably more than we ever had before. And so a lot of these individuals, male, female, and depending on what branch they have great sympathy for their fellow veterans and the troubles that they go through, whether they range from PTSD, opioid addiction, or other disorders. There's a lot of wealth of sympathy, not only for civilians, veterans, and other folks that are in Congress. Understand that this is an issue. It touches, the opioid epidemic outside of veterans touches every demographic that we have. And now specifically with our veterans, those who have served so much and sacrificed so much to serve our nation, I think this is a huge bipartisan effort. And I'm very optimistic, as is Joe, that we get this done probably early next year, I hope.
Okay. Let me ask you about a big headline that we've been tracking, this federal bankruptcy court approving a settlement over the opioid epidemic with Purdue Pharma, I should say, which is the maker of oxycodone. Its owners, the Sackler family. As a part of the settlement, just for our viewers to fill them in, the Sacklers have to contribute up to $7 billion over 15 years and also relinquish ownership of Purdue. Congressman Courtney, Purdue Pharma is based in your home state of Connecticut. Are you satisfied with the terms of this agreement?
So this has been a really long journey for the families and the plaintiffs and the class action. I think, as you know, prior settlement, milestones seem to be the end of the case. And the good news is that actually the judges and the courts rejected what was on the table. Attorney generals, I think, weighed in representing their various states and communities. So this latest iteration is definitely a better product in terms of really reaching more people. Obviously there's going to be, I think, a pretty deep hearing at the bankruptcy court, and the parties are going to have an opportunity to weigh in. People can opt out if they still feel that they want to have their day in court. But at some point, I think everybody's looking for sort of an end game here so that, we can get the help out to people and to communities who really took a lot of the brunt in terms of caring for people, so they get actually compensated.
Congressman Murphy, quickly, what was your reaction to this settlement?
Kristen, this started in the late 80s when people were saying physicians were not treating pain well enough. And Purdue Pharma came out with this new medicine, OxyContin, that was going to cure all, save all, not be addictive. And they lied to physicians and they lied to the American public. And it created the biggest epidemic, obviously, that we've had as far as medication goes. Is it enough? I don't know. That remains to be seen. But it's long, long overdue. And this needs to be some form of justice for those who have been harmed so badly over this horrible 30 plus years.
Absolutely. Well, I want to just zoom out and talk to you broadly about bipartisanship here. Both of you are co-sponsoring this legislation. What are each of you doing to foster bipartisanship in other areas? Congressman Murphy, why don't you start?
Yeah, no, over half of my bills, easily, the majority of my bills are bipartisan in nature. And sadly enough, Kristen, I mean, this is just a point blank. The media, the social media, I think is really one of the root causes that we have of the severe, horrible partisanship that we see in this country. We also have members who love the camera, chase the camera, love to say crazy things and cause divisiveness. Joe and I are here to do the work of the people, as should every member of Congress. And sadly enough, sometimes the headlines are made for those who want to cause partisanship. I think this nation does not want that any longer, and I'm glad to be able to work across the aisle to make things for the American people that we all need.
Congressman Courtney?
So, Greg's right. I would note there actually is more of the bipartisanship happening than sometimes people are aware of. I mean, I have constituents who are almost shocked to hear that. I work with a Republican counterpart on the Armed Services Committee, Trent Kelly from Mississippi, who, his politics are different, but we work together on a whole bunch of measures regarding the Navy and the Marine Corps and veterans. We've just been through a pretty rough moment here in terms of the shutdown. My sense, just again, being back here in town, is that a lot of us and a lot of people are just sort of exhausted by it, and
absolutely.
they are ready to sort of get this budget done for FY26. And as Greg said, I think a lot of us now are really sort of scrubbing through bills that have been sort of pending during the last few months or so to really try and see if we can find ones that are going to move quickly, like the HOPE Act, hopefully, which really it's hard to imagine that there's really going to be opposition of any significant amount. So. But frankly, it takes some effort, and people really have to kind of decide, that that's what they should do, and frankly, that's what the American people desperately want.
Well, picking up on this point, and final question to both of you, if you could talk to each of your conferences, what advice would you give them to turn the temperature down? Congressman Courtney, why don't you start this time?
Sure. So, we. Being in the minority, but still, I think that, if you look at the portfolio that we all have here, there's so much work to be done in a whole host of issues, which really, it doesn't take a lot of effort to find places where there is consensus. And hopefully the committee chairs and the ranking members, will really look at their backlog of bills and that have been introduced, and we're now like in 6,000 or 7,000 House bills that have been introduced.
Yeah.
There's a lot of meat on the bone there that we really could move forward on, and I think actually maybe get some good momentum in this place about the fact that Greg and I standing here. I don't bite, he doesn't bite. We can work together as people from different parties.
Yeah. Well, Kristen, I would say that 80, and this, to Joe's point, American public wouldn't realize this, but I think about 80% of us could agree on 85% of things. It's the folks that are on the far extremes that you hear about from the most, that cause the most noise, that get the most attention from the American public. They don't see, from the news media, you don't see the people behind the scenes that are working so hard on the average things. They don't see the bipartisanship. They don't see people working in committee work or outside committee work actually to get things things done on a bipartisan basis. I wish, and I would say this to you, I wish the American media would show more of that. And that's a welcome thing if you guys are doing that. I applaud that tremendously.